I shouldn't say it's an old chestnut, but we had similar points of view put at the formation of the Premier League. All I know is that, you know, we do our deals with the Premier League. The Premier League were very concerned about it. I think there've been some double talking, really, because you saw how upset the UEFA was. But I just felt the reaction was brilliant, coming from our members, coming from managers, coming from government, coming from Prince William, etc. And the reaction was good. And I think we need to be mindful of that. And
So can I just ask you, Gordon, you had no discussions within the PFA, no inkling at all that this was coming?
No, none whatsoever.
Right.
What we've been worried about is really increasing the number of with the European Championship coming up, and also, of course, with what we've got in place with the Champions League. Really, they've been trying to extend it. They keep going to the well for more and more games and looking at quantity rather than quality. And bearing in mind, during this pandemic, the intensity of games coming one after the other has been a real demand on players. And I think I can see whereby, you know, much as a closed league is ridiculous, it's not in our culture, but we do need to be mindful of the health and safety of our players, because even though we've made massive improvements with regard to medicine and science and sports science, it's still only an average 8-year career because of the intensity of the competition.
Right, and so the reaction of your players to the idea of a European Super League, was it unanimously opposed, or I mean, were they concerned about the fact they may not be able to play international football if they were dragged off into this European Super League? What was the reaction that you got from your members?
Against it, the same as we saw the managers of the biggest clubs coming out and speaking against it, and I thought there was a great solidarity. And the players of the Premier League have shown great solidarity in getting us through this pandemic as well. And from facing early criticism, as you know, from the Home Secretary, I think, wasn't it? And with Matt Hancock, and they got themselves together and said how much tax they pay, and also contributed to NHS Charities Together, which the PFA and myself personally did as well, in addition to all the community work. So I felt there was a real feeling of what sport was about its uncertainty and about its magic and about the ability to have dreams and achieve them. And if we lose that, then we're really not being respectful to our heritage, because this small island has more full-time clubs, more full-time players, and the highest aggregate number of crowds in the whole world when things are normal. So I felt it was a great response.
And just last question. I mean, if a European Super League happened in the way that was planned, what's the implications for the PFA? Do those players who go off to play for those clubs, do they stay in the PFA, or do they have to join Fifth Pro or a European Players Federation?
Well, FIFPro is the world's body, but there's no way those players were going to do that. And when they signed their contracts, they were quite mindful that those were contracts to play under the current circumstances and not have their conditions change without themselves or their union being a part of that process. And that's been a problem in looking at the pandemic, that also when the Football League were looking to have a hard salary cap without consultation, that's when people and unions get tested. But the solidarity of our players has not been in doubt, and I've been very proud of them.
That's an interesting point. That they were changing terms of contracts without any negotiation whatsoever by forming that league.
Exactly, and I felt above all they showed how much they care about supporters, remembering they'd played for 12 months without fans, which give that, it's like having a meal, I suppose, without salt and pepper. It's just not the same. It's shown how crucial the fans are, and I felt our players were at one with the fans and at one with their communities, with the work they did for their communities.